Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to Lastman episodes 17 and 18. That's right, only 2 episodes this week, and a big announcement of sorts. I mean, if you haven't seen the update video I posted earlier, there's more info there, but let me just briefly go over the quick, basics about it all. So, what the heck is going on here? Okay. So, I have dropped Attack on Titan Season 3 from the reaction schedule, and it's not because I'm not interested in the show or anything. I still very much am, and will still be watching it on my own time. The issue here is more along the lines of the fact about time and everything. You see, Rarity Dash just started uploading Gumball reactions. The Adventures of Gumball, or whatever it's called. And I have been wanting to get to that series. It was on my reaction poll last time and was just barely beaten out by Lastman. And it's a series I've been wanting to get to, but I want to react to specifically. And here's the problem. If I wait to try and react to it, hoping that it wins the next poll, then I'll be behind on Rarity Dash's reactions once I finally get caught up with Lastman and then hold another poll. And I just really don't want to be behind on any more of his reactions if I can help it. Because I'm already really behind on his Adventure Time still. And it's like, I don't want to be that far behind on anything else. Because I know Gumball's a pretty long series at this point, I believe. I think it's like 5 seasons or so. So yeah, I just really don't want to be behind again. So, that being said, go away Steam. Everything's popping up because I had just rebooted the computer so that there wouldn't be any lag and whatnot with the audio during this reaction and everything. But yeah, point is, so I dropped that and I put Steins Gate Zero on hold for the time being. Because I do plan to get back to Steins Gate Zero. It's just, and it might not even be a long hold. It's just for the time. And I moved things around a little bit. Voltron Legendary Defender is going to be on Thursdays now, and Gumball is going to be on Tuesdays. That doesn't affect too much going on with this, with Lastman, but I'm just saying. So Lastman's going to continue as normal for now. And did I just hear something from my headphones? Huh. I thought I heard something. Again, everything's booting up still, so things are popping up here and there. But yeah. As for Lastman, last we left off, Siri has awakened her Kinglet powers. Or Kingslet, or whatever it's called. Fully, and Richard knows about it now, and things are progressing. We're definitely entering the real meat of the series. Everything before this was setting everything up, I feel. But now we're gonna get into the real meat of things. We're really gonna I find out more about the Kingslets and stuff, and just really start to progress with the story. Not that it hasn't progressed at all before now. I'm just saying. Again, kind of everything up to this point has been set up for what's to come, and for just what we had last week. So yeah, I'm excited for this set of episodes. Again, we're only doing 2 today, and I do apologize for that, but, I mean, last week we did 4. We did more episodes than usual. The only reason we're doing 2 this week is because it's just, 1, we're starting late, and 2, I do still have to get to High Score Girl from yesterday. I have to get caught up on that. So it's just I want to cut things back for this week. We'll probably be back with 3 episodes or so next week. We'll see. In the meantime, we're going to get started. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, Everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So that being said, thank you so much for tuning in today, and I will see you at the reaction. Okay, and we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, first, actually, let me bring that down a little bit, just to center it better. So yeah, 2 great episodes here. The first one was all about Dave and Howard's kind of past and how all of this really began. It explained a little more on what the Kinglets are. They're basically, from what I gathered, there was a lot of information there, and I was talking through part of it. But from what I gathered, they're basically these ancient demons, in a way. And they were brought back on accident by Howard and ended up possessing all of these people. So Howard was trying to search them out and everything, and eventually Dave got caught up in it. And they had to go around killing all of these people to take out the Kinglets and all. Dave saw them as people. Dave, was really against, the killing at first. And when he found Siri, that she was just a baby and all, he started to be against it again, because she was just a baby. Instead, he took her and basically decided to raise her as his own, kind of, while telling Howard, find another way. Find some other way to get this done. To get the Kinglet out of her without harming her. So unfortunately, they did kind of kidnap Siri from her real family, but... I mean, I don't know if I would say it's a good enough reason or not. Considering that she has Coram the Devourer, apparently the strongest of the Kinglets in her, it's a really complicated issue. But we see that Howard has been searching this entire time for a way, and from what we gather, this cup that is the prize of the boxing tournament is the way to do it. But we do know that the Kinglets, the enemies, have an agent within them. They have the fake, the guy or the shapeshifter pretending to be the one guy. I can't think of the guy's name at the moment, but you know who I'm talking about. So yeah, the first episode here was just about that backstory, and it was fantastic. I loved seeing it. I loved getting to see more of Dave and getting to know more about his personality. We've had a lot about his personality before this, but I think this episode really just fleshed him out in a newer way, and a better way. Not to say the stuff before was bad, but yeah, you know what I mean. And then our second episode here was just adorable in a lot of ways, funny in a lot of ways, and kind of scary in a lot of ways. So Richard and Tomie are doing this commercial together, kind of to continue doing this entire fake relationship thing. And they're not getting the kiss that they're supposed to do in it exactly right, because, you know, they're basically faking it. So, in the end, though, he doesn't show up for a shoot, and so she finds out why, and she goes to help him basically take care of Siri. Spend a day at the mall and just have fun. And they're just really having a good time, and Siri's a little grumpy at first, but she eventually starts to warm up. She's having fun. The part where she's playing the video game with Richard, the fighting game, and she beats him and starts cheering, that is adorable. Like, it's seriously just cute as fuck. And seeing how Richard and Tomie are interacting and everything, and it brings it up to what Siri says in this episode. Why don't you two just date for real, basically? It's because they would make a great couple, and I do ship it. Like I said during the reaction, I think Siri does too. She's basically saying, you two would make a great couple. Just get together for real. Stop pretending. And I think that kind of happened at the end. Because at the end, I'm skipping to that for a second, but at the end it showed them filming that kiss scene again, and it definitely seemed more genuine, and I think that's what they were going for there. But then this episode also introduced to us 2 new characters, who are just kind of these minor randos. So these two druggies are apparently stealing clothes from one of the stores in the mall. And they notice that Tomie's there with Richard and Siri, and they're like, oh, we can get a big break from this. We could get something from kidnapping her, basically. So they're following Tomie, Richard, and Siri around the store, and basically just watching them for a while. They also go to, well, the guy, at least, goes to this gun shop and purchases some guns, which is interesting to me. It's I'm not automatically saying that he seems like the kind of guy who would be unable to purchase guns, like, because of just the situation he's in. I don't know gun laws in France, though, to be fair. But it's like, I don't know, he seems like he might have a history of criminal activity that would kind of disqualify him from being legally allowed to own a gun. Again, I don't know all the details behind gun laws in France. Heck, I don't know all the details behind gun laws here in America. They don't teach this shit in school, which they honestly should. Point is, so these two try to kidnap Tomie at the arcade. And at first, Tomie is just going along with it because, of course, not going to fight them, which is smart. And I kind of brought this up with the cashier and everything too. But it also goes for this: if someone ever tries to take you hostage, do not struggle. Do not struggle. Do not fight. Do not argue. If someone, especially if they have guns, tries to take you hostage, listen to them. Do what they say, and just obey in every possible way, because you just have no room to argue here. You have no room to fight. You are at the ultimate disadvantage. They could shoot you dead if you try to fight back. Do not try to argue, especially if you're in a crowded place like a mall. That could end bad for other people too. So it was very smart of her to do that, to just obey them and listen. But Richard does come in and starts beating the shit out of the guy and holding him to the counter. And eventually, Richard and Tomie, like, basically just, like, agree to let them go. It's just like, we're just gonna forget about this, just leave. And they almost do. It almost works, and I actually thought for a second it was going to. But instead, the cops do end up arriving because the cashier pressed the silent alarm, which is something he should do. I mean, like you should do that, yes. Unfortunately, it kind of backfired because they run in, force him to close the gate, and it becomes a hostage situation. And everything goes to shit from there. There are hostages in there, the employees and whatnot. The dudes shooting, well, both of them, I think, were shooting outside the metal gate at the cops who were coming. There was an attack force coming, and they were shooting at them too. And it's like, everything was going. There were even some people up above, like, trying to go in through the paneling on the ceiling. But no, the woman just, like, started shooting up at the ceiling and killed them all. And it's mainly because of them having the television. And it seemed kind of stupid in a way, because it's like the person on television was like, oh, they must have an insider or something. And it's like, no, they probably just have a television in there. It's actually very, very likely. So they didn't consider that at all? Yeah, it's just, it's kind of silly. So they're going to kill someone, but then Tomie comes in, kill one of the hostages, by the way. Tomie then comes in, and, well, she steps up. She says, like, no, take me hostage. They won't shoot if I'm there. And that's right. I mean, not only just because she's a celebrity, but because she's a person. They're not going to shoot with these two having an active hostage in their hands. Yeah, I mean, that's just safety protocol. So she's like, they're not going to shoot, just take me hostage, you can get out of this. And she tells Richard it's the only way, and she's right. It's really the only way at this point. It's the smartest option. And they even agree to it at first. But then things go kind of wrong. They start grabbing at Siri, and Siri kind of unleashes the beast. breaks the dude's arm. The cops do come in. Everything starts going to shit. And then Richard, like, goes to attack, and right as he does, it, like, skips forward to them doing the ad. And presumably him and Tomie, like, really having that relationship now. Yeah, the episode was fantastic. It was really, like, what's the word for it? Fast-paced, I guess you could say, but not in a bad way. And I'm not even talking in the way like I normally mention, like, oh, it goes by really fast because I'm just having fun. No, it was a fast-paced episode in its design. It was meant to be that way because it's a very action-heavy episode. It's a very, just really intense episode once it gets to that point. Beforehand, it's going pretty much normal in terms of its pacing, but once it reached that point, it just starts, like, zooming. And it needs to, because it's, again, a really intense scene. So I think that was done really well. These two druggy characters, they were nobodies, they were randos, nothing really to report for them. They were kind of funny in a way. Really, the big draw for this episode for me was the relationship between Richard, Tomie, and Siri. I really ship Richard and Tomie. I mean, I did before this episode, but I really do after this episode. And honestly, like, I have the video right now paused at the part where, like, you know, Siri just beat Richard in the fighting game and she's cheering and Tomie's laughing behind them and everything. It is, like, seriously one of the cutest things this show has shown so far. And it's just like, I envision them as a family. Richard and Tomie as a couple and Siri kind of as their daughter. I envision them that way when I look at this screenshot. And I love that. I love it when you can take these characters that, yes, there's obvious hints of a familial bond between them. There's obvious hints of a romantic bond between Richard and Tomie. But I like the way it's handled in here. Because a lot of shows will take, like, characters... they'll have, like, character dynamics in one way, but then they'll try to throw a romance in out of nowhere. Samurai Jack Season 5. And it just feels so forced and fake. With Samurai Jack Season 5, as the example, Jack and Ashi's romantic relationship, they had absolutely zero romantic chemistry before it happened, and then it just kind of happened. They just kind of did it. They threw it upon our laps without anything to build up to it. They had great chemistry as friends and almost like a master-student relationship. But that was about it. With this, pretty much since their first meeting, Richard and Tomie, there has been, like, this build-up for them. And once Tomie really started coming back into the picture, I don't know, like, 6 or 7 episodes ago, something like that. Once she started coming back into the picture and really started becoming an active member of the cast instead of just this occasional character, it started to get more and more obvious that they were building up this this chemistry between them, and in this case, definite romantic chemistry. And it's something, like, I really appreciate the way they're handling it. And give me a second here, I just noticed there's a issue with this. But yeah, it's, like, just really well handled here, which is, I wouldn't say surprising, like, that's the wrong way to put it. It's more so, it's just, like, really impressive, when a lot of shows these days don't do that. I just like it when a romance between characters on a show like this feels natural, you know what I mean? It feels natural, it feels like it was built up and properly worked towards, instead of just kind of coming out of nowhere. Instead of just being, like, thrown at us without any proper, well, anything, really. So I really appreciate that. And obviously, we have been having the kind of parent-child bond with Richard and Siri, but that's kind of been, you know, an obvious thing throughout the entire time. So I'm really interested to see where they go for the future of this. we only have like 8 episodes left after this, so I'm really, really interested to see how they handle the next stage of this. Siri is continuing to get more and more vicious, but it almost looks like she's almost getting the hang of it. Like she's almost able to control it in a way. I don't know. It might just be a good like moment for her. But we learned some of the lore about the kinglets, so they're definitely working towards the end game. We're gonna have Rizal come back. We're gonna probably find out more about him and his powers and the kinglet who's possessing him, you could say. I'm really interested to see. But tell me in the comments below what you thought of these 2 episodes of Lastman. What did you think of the entire hostage situation in that second episode, episode 18? And for episode 17, what did you think of the flashbacks, the backstory to the Mackenzie brothers? Tell me your thoughts on that and more in the comments below. And remember, no spoilers. If you know what is to come, do not spoil me or anyone else to what is to come. Just, yeah, talk about what we've got, basically. In the meantime, though, thank you so much for tuning in. And for now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.
And though you've come through many obstacles, shed tears along the way, you're still standing, live, love, laugh.